Hi, this is Theo, and you're listening to Between Two Trains. Twice a month, we bring you great stories of entrepreneurs in the North DeKalb area. This episode, your hosts are Van Pappas and Dr. Rachel Weimer. And now, Between Two Trains.
Welcome to another episode of Between Two Trains. We're coming to you, as always, from beautiful downtown Chamblee at the beautiful offices of 3411 Co-working. And today I have back again my co-host, Dr. Rachel Weimer. Hello. Dr. Rachel, as some of us like to call, not to be confused with Dr. Ruth, right? Different kind of doctor?
Definitely different.
Different kind of doctor. Is Dr. Ruth still alive?
Yeah, she is.
She is, okay.
I like that you know that.
I wouldn't know. Anyways, today we've got some great entrepreneurs. I want to welcome to the show Casey and Melissa from Moonbird Coffee. Welcome to the show. How are y'all?
Pretty good. Well, thanks for having us.
Great.
I feel like everybody's been waiting to hear from you guys.
I think so. This has been an anticipated episode for the last, about a year and a half? When did y'all start?
A little over 2 years now.
It's been 2 years now. Okay. So y'all have a unique sort of business because you're operating out of another business. So for those listening to the show who don't know about Moonbird Coffee, they're located in the upstairs room of the Southbound restaurant. Tell us how did that happen? What's the story behind how you ended up there?
Well, I was working at another coffee shop in town, and I knew Mike, the owner of Southbound.
Mike Plummer, who we tried to get on here, but we're having a tough time getting him on the show. We need to maybe you can convince him after this episode.
Maybe he's shy.
Yeah, I don't see Mike being shy at all.
But I let him know that I was going to be leaving my job, and he asked me what my plans were.
So you're working at a coffee house for someone else?
I was, yeah. And I told him probably go back to social work. That's what I did before. And he asked if I wanted to. And I said no. And he told me, don't go on any interviews. We set up a meeting for the following week, and we came up with Moonbird.
No way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So we can credit a lot of this to Mike Plummer. Is that what we're hearing?
Well,
Or you had this thought.
you know.
It was percolating in you. I see it. It was percolating in your head. You just need an outlet to formulate it.
Some space.
Yes. So tell us, all right, so it's a traditional coffee house, right?
It is.
I mean, is there anything unique other than you're serving coffee, right? Obviously. What else do we serve? We serve
We
some...
have tea, we have pastries.
Some pastries.
Breakfast burritos.
Oh, we do have a breakfast. You know, all the time I've been coming there, I did not know you had a breakfast
It's
burrito.
an amazing breakfast burrito.
Okay. So it's just that one breakfast item. It's like
Well,
I
sometimes we
can't
have-
come up there and order like 2 eggs over easy and some bacon.
No. Sometimes you might be able to get a quiche,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, breakfast burritos.
And you certainly don't want anything that we attempt to bake ourselves.
So you outsource all the items, the food items?
The baked goods.
The baked
yeah.
goods.
And the
Is there
quiches.
someone that we can promote here that they come from, or is it just like general?
Twisted Pastry is our baker.
Okay.
And he also does the quiches.
Okay.
And he's relatively local, works out of Doraville.
Okay.
Really solid guy.
We might
I
need to
love
get
that.
him on the show.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you ladies have gluten-free options as well.
Yes.
That's becoming big, isn't it? Gluten-free?
It is,
I never
yeah.
quite understood the gluten stuff. I think I got a lot of gluten right here.
They call that the gluten belly.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah. So, all right. So this business intrigues me. My father was in the restaurant business. Being Greek, I'm the first Greek in my family not to be in the restaurant business. My uncle, my father, my grandfathers, my cousins. And so this is sort of in that same realm, where you're serving food, you're serving coffee, and it really intrigues me. And it's one of those that one day maybe I say, hey, I'd love to do something like that. So you were in the coffee business. You said, I'm going to start this. Mike talked you into opening in his place. What's next from here? Are we happy with the setup and the arrangement, or is there some growth potential here?
We are happy with the setup. It's a relatively huge space for coffee shops. It doesn't have that
Most
packed
coffee
in.
houses, what's the square footage up there? It's big.
You
I'm not
remember?
entirely sure about the square footage, but I know that on any given day there's seating room for at least 60 people
Yeah.
around tables.
You don't-
That's
I mean,
almost unheard of.
Yeah, not in a coffee shop. That's big.
Yeah, that's big. That's banquet big.
Have you ever thought of like entertainment of any kind, or is the morning just not? You're not going to have someone playing.
We do actually on Saturdays.
On Saturdays, you
Some
bring in some
Saturdays we
entertainment?
have live music. We have pop-up bakers. But
Not too many weeks ago, we had a 5-piece bluegrass band.
Really?
So you can make your way to Moonbird on Saturdays and catch some unique entertainment.
Some bluegrass. I love that.
So great, I didn't
In
know that.
downtown Chamblee. So let's talk a little bit about the business itself. You know, you're unique because really, other than the big chains out there, there is no other like locally owned sort of traditional coffee house. You got the Starbucks, which I can't stand, and then you got all the chain fast food places like McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and and Chick-fil-A. Are they really competitors of yours, or are people
No.
coming to you really are never going to go to those places?
we were a little concerned when Starbucks and when there was Revelator coming into Whole Foods. We were a little concerned, but we didn't.
I totally forget
Yeah.
that.
Revelator.
I forget
Yeah.
that that's even there.
It's
Yeah.
not the same kind of experience. A lot of people that go there prefer kind of the drive-through experience,
All right,
really quick and leave. With Moonbird, you have to walk upstairs.
of course.
And you have to wait for your coffee. We're still quick, but it's not the same as a drive-through. So, not really competition.
What is so? Are you, because of the arrangement with Mike, do you feel that your overhead for rent and all that is a lot better than if you said, hey, you know, there's all these great spots in Chamblee, there's all this development, you know, I could have my own little place. Is it just too pricey to do that?
It's very expensive in Chamblee. I mean, we've looked to move to the area even, and we can't afford it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. With all
Well, you mean move to the area to live?
Yes.
And you can't afford to
No.
live in Chamblee?
Well, it's the same. It's sort of the same challenge, I think, confronting a lot of people. In the
How
city.
far away do you live? Where do you?
The West End.
Oh wow, you
Yeah.
come all the way from the West End?
Yes.
Wow, that's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so interesting. So how did you end up, the only reason you ended up opening a coffee shop in Chamblee as opposed to the West End was because of Mike?
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because the West End is a great place
Yeah.
to open a coffee shop as well.
Also-
So
Very
you
expensive.
you're not
Yes.
leaving us to go to the West End.
No, we're not leaving.
Okay.
No, Chamblee loves you too much. You can't do.
Let's talk a little bit about being an entrepreneur for a second. So you used to work at a coffee house, so I'm assuming you got some coffee knowledge,
Oh,
right? I'll go ahead and admit here on the air that I know nothing about coffee, and in fact, I've never actually drinking coffee
Can
in
you
my
believe
entire
that?
life.
I think we should change it.
Yes, can you believe that?
I think we should change it live.
Live on, well, since we're recorded, I don't think that'll play as well, but it is, the business itself does intrigue me, and so you've got some knowledge working for someone else in a coffee
Right,
house. How much did that come into play with what you're doing?
I don't think people talk to me all the time about opening their own shop, but they have no experience in the industry.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's really, I mean, unless you have someone else run it for you completely, I don't think it's possible. I think
You have to know
yeah.
something about coffee
You
to
have
own a coffee house.
You have to know about stock, you have to know about roasters, you have to know, I mean, the demand that you'll get from people, all of the little intricacies of what people want. And you only get that from
So where do you
doing it.
source your coffee from? Is it?
We have a couple of roasters.
Okay.
Our main roaster is in Lawrenceville. It's called Thirsty Gauge Coffee, small roaster, Cuban guy. Our espresso's Cuban espresso. It's great. And then we have Cloudland Coffee Roaster, which is just one woman up at
She's at Prep,
Yeah,
actually, not
Prep
not
Food
far,
Kitchen.
not far from here.
Mhm.
And she works with a lot of micro communities of women entrepreneurs in source countries.
Oh, I love
so it's just this is a wonderful opportunity to sort of pay it forward and give back and support her in a way that allows her to support women entrepreneurs in source source communities.
So they roast it and then send it to you, or do they go ahead and grind it and send you it ground, or you grind
We
it
get
yourself?
Whole beans.
Whole bean, and then you grind it.
They deliver it every week.
Okay.
What's the biggest challenge in opening, or not opening a coffee shop, but having a coffee shop?
Probably the time commitment.
Right.
People think you kind of, sure, you wake up really early, but you get your day done really
Well,
early.
let's go through that. What time do you wake up on a daily basis?
4:44.
4:40. You got it done.
Yeah, we sleep in until 4:46.
Oh.
We do with that extra time.
4:44. So is that because you just have a bunch of stuff to do to get the store open, or because I'm assuming 4:44, we got, what, a 30-minute drive?
It's about 20,
20-minute drive?
20 to 30 minutes
in the morning.
So you could sleep an extra 20 minutes if you lived here in
Right,
Chamblee.
yes.
So we got to figure out a way
That's
to
true.
get you living in
Yes,
Chamblee so you
yes.
can get that extra 20
Exactly.
minutes of sleep.
Yes.
So 4:44, you get to the store. What's the first thing? Because you don't open till what time? 6?
We open at 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yes, so what's
4:44,
between that?
20 minutes to get there.
We typically,
What time do you show up at the store?
it depends.
4 to 6?
It depends on if we've worked on burritos the day before, or if we have to work on them in the morning. So generally, it could be any time between maybe 6 and
Between 6 and
6:30.
6:30 typically, and then it's just a mad dash
Yeah.
to get everything set up
Kind of
and ready.
Everything.
We get up at 4:44 because we have a life and animals, and we need to spend time with them.
And
No
we-
kids?
No kids.
Yeah, thank goodness.
have to drink our coffee at home first.
Yes.
So
Oh, so do you drink while you're at work at all?
yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely.
But you got to get that cup in
Yes.
before you leave the house.
Exactly.
Okay.
Of Moonbird drip.
Of
Yeah.
Moonbird.
Yeah.
No other. So now we're at the store. We're open. You've been open for 2 years, you said. You've, I'm assuming at this point, seen sort of a pattern, or is it like
You'd
all
be
over the place?
surprised.
It's not. You don't say, well, we know that there's Tuesdays. A lot of people come in.
We know Saturdays are going to be busy.
Okay.
Saturdays are
That's
always
your
busy.
busiest day?
It is. And throughout the week, there's no set pattern, which is really strange for coffee shops. Most coffee shops, you see an upward trend. Start of the week's kind of slower. People are making their coffee at home thinking, okay, I can do this. By the end of the week, they're like, oh my God, give me coffee. It's a treat to myself. I just need it to get
Somebody
me through
else
the
made
day.
it for me.
Yes, exactly.
What's the number one thing ordered? Is it just straight black, or do you get like, hey, a lot of people like this?
We sell a lot of drip. We sell a lot of Mexican mochas.
I was gonna say
Mexican mochas.
That
A
was
lot
my
of
guess.
Mexican mochas.
That was my
Okay,
guess.
interesting.
And increasingly so, a lot of cardamom lattes,
Yes.
cardamom vanilla lattes. Just things you can't typically find at other
Yes.
coffee shops.
That's what
All right,
I
so-
love about Moonbird.
So here we are. We're back to Van now, who doesn't know anything about coffee. Tell me about. There's a lot of different ways you can create a cup of coffee, right? We got all kinds of different things. We got the French press. We got the percolator. We got all these different things. What is the proper way to actually make a cup of coffee?
I think
I say this
It
because,
depends on your
but here's
device.
why I say this, because even though I don't drink coffee, there's one thing I do for my wife every single morning. I make her a cup of coffee. So I want to make sure I give her the proper thing and not just giving her crap. So tell me, teach me, oh wise coffee makers, how should I be making my wife her cup of coffee? Other than coming to Moonbird
We
and
buy our
getting
beans
it.
at Moonbird because we sell our beans.
So do you have a lot of people that buy beans
Yeah,
directly and take them home?
We do, and we actually ship beans to people who try our coffee in town.
What if I don't
decide
have
they
a
want-
grinder at home?
We grind it.
You'll
for
grind
you
it for me.
to your
Does
specifications.
that cost extra, or is that just
Nope.
part of the service?
That's
part of the
just what we
service.
do.
Okay. I think I've gotten away from my original question, which is how do I make the perfect cup of coffee?
It depends on the drinker.
Exactly.
Everyone has their own preference, their own strength level. We like strong coffee. We like French press.
You do use a French
We
press.
do.
It's confusing to me.
It's
I feel like you're gonna
actually
get. There's
really
no
easy.
way for the grounds to get in.
There's a little screen in there.
There is a screen.
So-
okay.
And you have to grind it properly.
I have to grind it properly.
It's very coarse grind.
Seems like a lot of work.
A lot of people will
So
tell
is
you
it.
to steep it. I think it's somewhere between.
Is that what you do, Rachel? You French press?
I do have a French press.
You have one at home?
I do have one at home.
Okay.
But
So-
I like the chemistry.
God, y'all are not
How
going
long
to
do you
like
steep
what
yours?
I tell you on how I make my coffee.
No, you're pro-life.
Yeah.
Until it looks
The Keurig
strong enough.
is the best invention in the world, right? I gotta do very little work. I put the little cup in and I'm boom. I press the button.
How long have you been married?
Yeah.
23 years.
Wow.
I'm doing something right.
It's not the
Must
coffee.
not be coffee.
It's not the coffee.
Must not be the coffee. We're going down the Dr. Ruth path, so we'll skip the rest of that conversation. I didn't plan that Dr. Ruth reference. That was just an accident.
That was amazing.
All right, so the French press, you think that's
Yes.
the way to go? I need to
think
get a
that's-
French press.
That's my taste because when you
Can I
use
buy
the-
a French press from Moonbird? Y'all don't sell stuff like that.
No, we don't.
We
have
could get
any-
one for you.
I mean, do you think you should start getting to increase your revenues, getting into other stuff? Maybe selling some swag shirts and...
We do
We
have
do.
t-shirts.
You have
Man,
t-shirts.
Where you been?
I
What do
come
you do
there
when
for
you're at the
meetings and I get your tea because I don't drink coffee.
We have hats. We
Have you ever
t-shirts.
thought of expanding beyond just the tea?
The problem in our space is that we don't have much storage, so we
Right,
have to be
because Mike is using that space after you
Yeah,
leave.
exactly. So they need space for tablecloths
Right.
and all the
You
good
can
stuff.
sell your swag in my office.
Okay. I mean, just saying, maybe have a display of French presses
Yeah.
that you can sell. You buy them at wholesale and sell them at retail.
Yeah,
No?
I mean it's a good idea. We'd make some money off of it,
But Mike
But
doesn't have the room
you
for
can
it.
find
If you
it.
had your own place, maybe.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so getting back to being an entrepreneur. 2 years in, it's more than just making coffee to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you want to go back to just dealing with coffee and not having to worry about expenses and paying bills and accounting and all that crap?
It is awesome to work for yourself.
Yeah?
I think that makes it worth it.
It's nice to be a part of something that you feel it's kind of growing legs. You're helping to grow something, and your stake in it is obviously huge. And for me, kind of leaving behind sort of a white collar gig has been nice.
Were you in the coffee business as well? Or
No, actually,
what did you do?
I was a communications professional at Emory University, actually.
Okay.
And I was working at the shop on Saturdays with Casey, but I found myself more and more throughout the day kind of grabbing my phone and watching sales and watching, more mentally engaged I found with the business than I was. I was becoming a bit more detached from my own work. So when the numbers aligned and we made the transition, it was time we'd grown enough to hire someone.
And it made sense to
Just
hire you.
made sense. Yeah.
That's very
Yeah, why? So there's no need, though, at this point to hire anyone additional.
No one else will fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen the bar.
Just
Okay.
because
Yeah, yeah.
from the
Literally.
space, but I was thinking more so y'all could actually, because you're working 6 days a week, right?
No, well,
No? How do you do it? Do y'all
So,
take some
we're
time off
there-
individually?
we're there Thursday or Tuesday through Saturday.
Oh,
So we
Monday's
have Sunday
closed.
and Monday technically out of the shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
usually let's get the inventory.
Yeah.
Right. You're still going in.
Still going in.
When you own a business, there's no such thing as
Right.
A day
A
off.
day off.
No.
Right.
Well, we're up to where we need to take a commercial break to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Casey and Melissa to play our ever fun game called Hot or Not. So stay tuned right after these messages. So.
Looking for an affordable, functional, and creative space to work? Check out 3411 Co-working in downtown Chamblee. They have flexible month-to-month office space options that include fiber internet, meeting rooms, printing, coffee, snacks, and networking events. 3411 Co-working is the perfect place for entrepreneurs, remote workers, and small business owners looking for a one-stop shop for your professional needs. Stop by for a tour Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and see how 3411 Co-working can work for you.
Welcome back to Between Two Trains. We are here today talking about Moonbird Coffee and how much I do not know about the coffee business. and making coffee. And I'm sure my wife is listening to this, and she's getting real excited about the new French press I'm going to be bringing home after the show here. So let's play our fun game, Hot or Not. All right, so y'all are actually partners, right?
Right.
In real, not that the Moonbird Coffee is not real life, but when you leave Moonbird Coffee, you see each other every night.
This is your
Yes.
favorite question.
It is one of my favorite questions. So, hot or not, working with a spouse or partner, is that a hot thing to do or not such a hot
I'm
thing?
going to say hot. I think I have to say hot.
You like it, huh?
She better say hi.
You get to see her all day long and all night long, 24 hours.
I never.
You don't get sick of her?
I think
She wouldn't
gets a
say
little-
that.
No, I wouldn't. I think I get on her nerves a good bit, but
Yeah.
I think I didn't realize before just how little we saw of each other. Just she's tied up with the shop. I was at work. When I would get home, I'd be ready to talk to her, and she's done talking for the day. So in some way, it's actually, I don't know, been a good thing, I think.
And I think while we're working, it's not like we get to hang out and
Yeah,
you know.
you're working.
Yeah. So we're mostly dealing with customers, doing dishes, doing like a million things at once. So it's nice to see her there, but it's not like
Right,
when we're at home.
right.
That's great. Okay. Obviously, you all think this is hot, but I want to know a little bit more about this from you. Turning a hobby into a business.
Oh, yes.
Would you do it again?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Which hobby?
We're still talking about coffee and not Dr. Ruth.
I think that you really have to love the hobby, because if not, actually having to wake up and do it every day, you would be miserable and you'd ruin it for yourself.
Yes.
So I wake up and the first thing I want in the morning is coffee. So that's not going away. We get to the shop and we brew coffee and I'm like, oh, that smells great, and it doesn't get old.
It doesn't get old. It
Yeah.
hasn't gotten old.
No.
That's so cool.
You ever seen the show, the Jerry Seinfeld show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee? You ever seen that show?
I have.
They show these pictures when they're doing it of people making coffee because they're intertwining that with his comedy.
Right.
And they make these beautiful little arrangements in the coffee where like the cream or whatever they're putting in turns into a beautiful flower.
Uh-huh.
Is that real or are they faking that?
It is real.
Is that something you can do? You know how to do that?
I can do it to an extent.
Can you come to my house every morning and do that for my wife?
Not with Greg.
You might have to make a serious investment and up your
Okay.
game a bit.
So, I mean, that's like if I came and I was a coffee drinker,
Yeah.
and I ordered something like that, is that
I can make you a latte with a squiggle in it.
with a squiggle in
Uh-huh.
it?
Yeah.
If I didn't specifically ask for a squiggle, you're not going to necessarily, it's not like your trademark or something.
You would still probably get something.
It would look like, a cloud of some
I mean,
kind.
it depends on who's making it.
What? Melissa, are you a
I
better
am not
squiggly?
No, I am not proficient with latte art. I choose to let customers interpret what I have done.
She's good
Is that what it's called? Latte art?
It
It's like
is.
looking at clouds.
She's good at the
Exactly.
Rorschach latte
Exactly.
art.
Okay.
I've
A lot of
this.
dots all
Yeah.
over the
What
place.
do you see?
I like that.
It's an interactive experience.
Okay, all right. And then we got also, not to, I know we're talking about your hot or not here, Rachel, but we got the little, what's it called? The little one. Where it's the
Espresso.
Espresso, thank you. Espresso. See, I really don't know anything about coffee. The espresso. Tell me what's an espresso now?
It's
just concentrated
very
coffee?
strong, yeah. Dark, generally.
Just like kick me in the ass
Yep,
type coffee.
Exactly. Full of caffeine.
Do you get a lot of orders for espressos?
Oh yes.
That's what we should start Dan off with.
Oh yeah, that's what I need. Like I'm not already hyper enough. I need an espresso. Well,
Maybe we'll start them off with hot chocolate.
do I need
and
a
slowly pour a shot of espresso into it.
we're going to come back to the shot thing in a second, but do I need a special device to make an espresso? Like, is there
You
espresso
do
machines?
need a machine, yeah.
Yeah?
So
So Mike has the space for you to have your French press, your espresso maker. What other equipment do you need?
we don't have French press in the shop.
Oh.
We do that at home.
Oh, the French press is just
You
for
have a big
home.
fancy
Yeah.
machine.
Right.
So we have a huge espresso machine, and
Okay.
then we have a coffee brewer.
A coffee brewer.
Yeah. And a couple of different
What,
grinders.
what's the deal
and-
with percolators?
So,
Does anyone percolate anymore?
yes.
I remember when I was growing up in the 70s, my grandmother had a coffee pot that she put on top of the stove and had a little thing on the top, like a ball on the top, and it would start, and she's like, all right, the coffee's ready.
So I think that generally makes pretty strong coffee.
Okay.
And it's, a lot of people love to do Cuban coffee in percolators.
So people still use percolators?
People do.
Some people really hate them because they think it makes it taste pre-burnt.
Oh, really?
It's all about...
It's
Just because the heat is it's like right on the fire in the oven. Okay.
What's the difference between a Chemex and a
Whoa, what?
Like a
What's a
like
Chemex?
glass?
So
Totally different.
Y'all are gonna
Very
have to
different.
explain
Okay.
what is this now? A glass what?
So it's just another apparatus. Oh, my phone's off. Another apparatus to brew coffee. It's a fancy.
Okay.
It looks like you're doing
Seems like
chemistry.
we got a lot of different ways to do the same damn thing.
There are lots of ways, and
But they taste different.
if you ask people, they will feel very strongly.
This is the
about-
way.
Yes.
I like this.
Yes.
Everyone's got obviously
Right.
particular tastes.
A lot of people love pour over, which is basically just a very fresh cup of drip coffee. You take a little cone with a paper filter, put your grounds in it, and pour hot water over it. But people think it's the best thing.
Well,
It all
looks
depends.
Cool. It does look cool.
It does look cool.
All right, so getting back to being an entrepreneur, we'll do another hot or not here business plan.
Oh, that was what I was going to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beat you
that's
to
okay.
it.
That's great.
Hot thing to do or not? Did you do a business plan before you opened?
No.
You just
Yep.
by the same
right
Mike
into it.
Mike
Yeah.
Plummer said go and we went.
Exactly.
I like that.
I think that it's a smart thing to do. I think, especially if you need financing and all of that, then you kind of have to.
So you didn't do it when you first started.
Right.
Do you do anything now today to go, all right, we're coming up towards the end of the year, 2020. Do we need a plan for 2020 or we're just doing the same thing over and over again?
I think as we continue to grow and really position ourselves to consider additional opportunities and what that means, I think that kind of we'll probably start dipping our toes in that sort of environment of the business planning, making sure everything's in order,
Crunching the numbers.
crunching the numbers.
You do all your own accounting or you send that out?
Well, we did the first year. We did our own books. This second year, we got tired of doing that, and actually,
Well, it's
customer
hard because
recommendation found our
because
accountant.
you're not only dealing with the accounting for the business, but then you've got the stupid state and you have to pay, the taxes and all that
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And are y'all just taking money out of the business, or you put yourself on payroll to pay yourself? Because at the end of the day, you go home, you need some money to pay those bills.
Right.
Right. The way that it's organized now would be, and there's some technical jargon for it, but essentially we're so small that you can sort of draw like an
Sure,
owner's
you're
draw
just making a draw
business.
from it.
Yeah.
You didn't feel the need to actually create
as we
payroll and do
consider
all that.
expanding, that will require its own reorganization and with that a
Sure.
different sort of financial infrastructure for the business.
Sure.
Oh, we're still going.
We got time. You got some more hot or nots. Throw
Well, I
them
had
out.
another question.
Or just a question.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have a question for you about the name.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with
Oh
it?
yeah, Moonbird.
My first name was rejected by everyone that I told.
Oh my God, you gotta say what it was
Yeah,
there.
what was
So
it?
they need to know what it could have been.
The bitter bohemian.
Who does that?
Everyone, the facial
the merch.
expression.
Bitter. I mean, I think there's so many negatives to that. I get what you were trying to think of, but the word bitter to start with, we're trying to sell coffee here.
You're on the same page with everyone else.
Casey
Moonbird
was,
is so
was
good.
a woman
So-
on her own.
I think I was feeling defeated because everyone told me it was such a horrible thing that I went back to the office and just kind of sat there and stared around the room and landed on my Shel Silverstein book. And it's Little Kid Poems and Where the Sidewalk Ends. I was reading that and it's a poem basically about how adults take life too seriously and we kind of need to step back and relax and enjoy things. And it talks about the Moonbird.
Ah.
And I was like, okay. And then I did a little research, and there was this bird that scientists tagged and tracked it throughout its life. And in the course of its life, it traveled the distance that it would take to get to the moon and back. And everyone's moms say that to them. So it just...
I love that.
There's another merchandising opportunity. We should be selling the book at the...
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's no bitter bohemian.
It'll do.
I'm not quite sure what the merchandising opportunities with the bitter bohemian
I
would
think you
be.
can all imagine.
I think there's a niche
What the
market
merch
for
is.
that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
good.
All right, so what is next? We talked a little bit before. I think I asked, any opportunities. We're just going to do the same thing. But Chamblee is changing.
Right.
And I'm sure y'all have seen the change. Lots of people coming in, literally right around the corner from, before
Right
we
across
even
the
get around the
Yeah.
corner, right across the street, we've got some high-end townhomes that are being built. And if you go around the other side of City Hall, there's about to be like 350 apartment units that are going to start getting built next year. So there's going to be a lot more people in downtown. I'm assuming that's a lot of opportunity for you.
That's
Have you planned that out or thought about how you can take advantage of that?
I think on an informal basis, we talk about it a lot. We talk about it more and more because we're in a position where we can consider it more and more. And we've certainly kept our eyes open to all the change and development in Chamblee. I think there's absolutely room for Moonbird to grow in Chamblee. We love this community.
Well, obviously, you get a lot of word of mouth. People talk about you. Since you're in the West End, you may not realize this, but with all the local social media stuff, you come up a lot. Next door and all those that you may not see because you're not on them.
Yeah.
Are on there. So other than the word of mouth of the locals who've come there and said, hey, this is a great spot, and someone like me who says, hey, we need a business meeting, let's go to Moonbird to have our business meeting, which I'm sure you get a lot of that.
Oh, yes.
What are you doing to try to bring in more business? Any kind of marketing, advertising, social media? What are you doing?
We do a lot of, people ask for a lot of donations in the area, so we give to a lot of
Both
different...
financial and in kind. We've been
Right.
very fortunate here.
Yes,
You talk about like sponsoring
Sponsoring
local
swim
kids teams, swim
teams,
teams, stuff like that.
5Ks, we've done gift baskets for raffles for like PDK.
We support Lifeline several times a year, but we're also doing ads in some of the more local neighborhood newsletters here, and social media outreach. That's actually been probably the bread and butter of our advertising.
Word of mouth.
Social media and word of
Yeah.
mouth.
I'm still so surprised by how many people don't know that you're there.
Right.
Oh, a lot of people.
I was in there
They're like,
earlier
"Where is
having
it?"
coffee, and she's like, I didn't even know this place existed. And I'm like, how's that possible? But there's a lot of room for growth, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And we
Well,
love
if you
this
could,
community.
we're pretty much almost at the end of our time. So my only request is if you could talk to Mike and see if he can't carve out a little space for you to hold one other item besides the tea. Maybe some orange juice would be nice. I'd love a cup of orange juice when I'm having my muffin when I'm at my business meeting at 8 in the morning.
I'm pretty sure we can make you like coffee.
Oh, you can make me coffee. I'm pretty sure you can do that too. I have a feeling that now that Casey knows who I am, when she sees me come in, she's going to force me to have a cup of coffee.
We've converted quite a few people.
Oh,
You'd be
do we have a
surprised.
board where the little
We
lines,
should.
how many
We
people
should.
you've
That would be
converted?
awesome.
How do you know if you've got a virgin coffee drinker?
They're usually pretty forthcoming about it.
They say,
They come in, they say, I don't
I'm
like
here,
coffee.
I'm a virgin, be gentle with me.
They're usually with a friend that loves coffee, and I'm like, okay.
What can we make
What do you
you?
normally
Mexican
like to
mocha.
drink?
Uh-huh.
All right, we're not starting with the Mexican mocha, all right? Let's just be
We'll figure it
frank
out.
here.
We'll
We need
figure it
the
out.
baby steps. I want something with like a lots of milk and cream and whatever else you can put in there
All right.
to water it down.
We can do that. You'll love it.
Hot chocolate.
What about, one last thing, I just thought of this, I meant to ask you earlier. What about like something a little stronger that might have a little alcoholic kick to it? Can we do that?
Well, there's a bar downstairs at
Okay.
Southbound, so you can always pick up something
Okay, so
upstairs.
you can't make
and
it.
No.
Is that because you have to have a license?
Right.
You can't piggyback on Mike's license.
Yeah, no.
You can't just say, hey, he sold a
Right,
shot and we
exactly.
happen to put it in here.
But you could do it the other way
Yeah,
around.
I can sell the coffee.
You can sell the coffee,
They
but
can
then I
sell
gotta
the-
go down there. But there's no one down there at 8 in the morning.
Well, you shouldn't be drinking at 8 in the morning.
Well, if I want like what's the Irish drink?
Irish coffee.
Yeah, whatever, the one with it's got the little kick to it.
There-
All right. Here's something. If not alcohol, what about? I heard that the new hip thing is the CBD oils. Can we put some?
I think you have to have special licensing
For that?
to do
Yes.
that too.
People do bring in their own cups with their oil in it.
So
And
people,
after-
they
do.
say I'm going to
They-
put this CBD oil
No,
in.
they come in with it in.
They have
They're-
like
they're
creamer and all stuff in
And
the
they just
cup.
put
Yeah,
it
and they
in.
just want us to pour coffee on
Not
top.
quite
of
sure
it.
I understand that concept. Isn't CBD oil supposed to make me a little more calm and relaxed? And coffee's isn't one a downer and one's an upper?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it
What are they trying to
balances
do here?
people out. I don't know.
I don't know. I think
This is the way my
much
mind works.
science to be
But
followed.
if you
with
do want
CBD.
Irish coffee, you can go to Southbound's Brunch. They sell our drip coffee, and they can add.
Okay.
They have all of their special concoctions.
Yeah. Do you feel if Mike said, "Hey, you can have the space upstairs long past because it's 2:30, right? That's when
Right. Yeah.
he kicks you out because he's running his business."
Right.
What if he let you stay longer? Are you happy with the 2:30 or
Well, so I don't
what about
think
that 4 to 5 o'clock hour where people are getting off work and they want a cup of coffee?
that could happen, but kind of sales die off after about 3-ish anyway.
Okay.
I don't think people want
Yeah,
as
the
much
numbers
coffee.
don't really support
Really?
it. And the
Yeah.
people that come
Because
in
it
the
seems
evening-
like the Starbucks is still packed, even at
Look around, see if people are actually ordering things.
they're just sitting in
Yes.
or you're
there.
meeting
They're getting the
someone.
free Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Does Mike make you pay for the Wi-Fi or?
No.
So that's just part of your rent.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we're way over the time. I'm sorry, but I think we could talk for another 30 minutes. But I'm gonna say we're at the end. So obviously, we've already mentioned where you're at and where people can get a great cup of coffee and hopefully a cup of orange juice. And so, is there any parting words you want to tell the people why they need to come to Moonbird over Starbucks? Or
Well, we're there.
you're there?
We're worth it.
Yeah, look at him.
Here's one last question. I keep thinking of these questions.
I know, I could go on and on.
The McDonald's $1 coffee.
Uh-huh.
That's a campaign. You see a lot of commercials. They're pumping that hard.
Yeah.
Is that like a big deal? Or do you feel like, do you have a coffee that's, hey, this is our lost leader. We're going to sell this for $1?
Well, if you come in and you buy a coffee
Uh-huh.
and you want more coffee, it's $1.
Okay.
So refills are $1.
Okay.
If at the end of the day you're still there and we're about to pour out the coffee, you can have all the coffee you want.
So come at 2:15 to Moonbird Coffee and get whatever's left.
2:31.
2:31. Okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No
We really
problem.
appreciate it. And we'll be at Moonbird Coffee coming up. And everyone who listens to this, check them out. They're in the upstairs of Southbound Restaurant, which is right on Peachtree Road in downtown Chamblee. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.